Hey there, and welcome back to Beyond Adjustments. You obviously know who I am. I'm your host, Amin Saeed, and today I've got someone super awesome joining me. His name is Dr. Brett Judson of Judson Family Chiropractic. This guy knows a thing or two about keeping people feeling great. And we're going to dive into his story, his approach to chiropractic care, and maybe even a few fun behind the scenes moments from his practice. We'll see. We'll see what we can get out of him. We'll check it out. So whether you're a chiropractor, a patient, or someone who's just wondering if cracking your knuckles is a bad thing for you, well, spoiler, probably not, but we'll ask the expert. This is going to be amazing. Cue that amazing intro music. I'm cheesy, I know. I pride myself on it, especially aged cheese like myself. See what I mean? Anyway, Dr. Brett Judson, welcome to Beyond Adjustments. I am so ecstatic that you're here, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Me too. Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are honored to have you on the show. And I just jump right in, man. I like to talk a little bit about your kind of your background, your journey, your philosophy. So if it's okay, I'm just going to go ahead and start digging.
Awesome.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of your pursuit. What inspired you to get into chiropractic care? Kind of what motivated you to start not just Judson Family Chiropractic, what led you up to that? If you can talk a little bit about that, that'd be awesome.
Well, let's just start from the beginning. In high school, I played sports, football, basketball, baseball, took a really big interest in the human body, and I thought how amazing it was or is. And I was taking some anatomy and physiology classes, and it was just awesome. And there was in one of my classes, there was a chiropractor that actually came in, and one of the things that he shared that was very impactful for me was he shared this example of how the communication between the brain and the body is extremely important. And he gave the example of, say communication from the brain to the stomach. And so if, the function of the stomach is normal, but if there's a break in the nerve communication, well, that can throw things off in the stomach and maybe build up too much stomach acid or whatever. There's a breakdown in communication and then you develop symptoms. And so you would go to a medical doctor, and they, in their professional knowledge, they would prescribe some medications to reduce that stomach acid. However, the root cause of the problem was never the stomach acid or the stomach, but it was the communication. And so the chiropractic would come in, remove the subluxation or the interference in the nervous system, and it would restore function to the body. And so finding the root cause was really the thing that I really aligned with. I thought, I don't want to just put a Band-Aid on something. If you're going to remove a weed from your garden, you don't want to just cut up the top. You want to get the whole root because that's the thing that's really going to fix it. And so chiropractic was the first profession that I learned about that really was looking for the root cause. And so that was really important to me, and learning more about the human body and anatomy, started thinking, well, maybe physical therapy for a short time. But then I was like, you know what? Chiropractic is really the thing for me. And then my wife helped me out by saying, no, be a chiropractor. And so that was like, okay, that was the last,
if you say so,
the last decision-making part of the process. Well, my wife said to be a chiropractor. So if it all goes wrong, then it's her fault, right?
Exactly.
Just kidding. I was already leaning towards chiropractic. I have a lot of friends that are chiropractors, and really aligned with that philosophy of finding the root cause of the problems and allowing the body to function better.
Yeah.
And then after I graduated, I worked for a chiropractor in California, learned, I would say more so mastered the art of adjusting, or at least to my ability. And it was extremely useful, extremely helpful. I consider him a mentor, and learned a lot of some business things. Then we moved to Utah and started working for another chiropractor. And after about a couple of weeks, I noticed that our ethics didn't really align. And so I had to leave, and I thought, you know what, let's start my own place. And there's, more to that story, but essentially,
Of course.
kind of led up to kind of where I am now.
Yeah. I love it. So would you say there was a defining moment in your career overall that really cemented your passion for it? Or was it just kind of the beginnings for chiropractic care specifically?
Yeah. The passion, really has been there the whole time, just trying to help people,
Yeah.
all throughout my undergrad experiences, learning, trying to figure out what the problems are with people, trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to fix it?
Yeah.
And then learning chiropractic was an additional tool. And the experiences that patients have, for example, just here, I'm not even talking about my last 2 years, 3 years of experience. Just in the last couple of months, there's an individual who was injured, and he had a lot of surgeries. He had fusions in his low back. He had one of those electric stimulators installed in his spine. So he has wires going up his spinal canal
Oh my gosh.
right. And so, he's just been years and years of pain meds, disability, can't really function. And so when I first opened, he sent me a message saying, I don't know if you can work on me. And I was like, well, tell me what you got. And he shared everything. We took x-rays. We saw all of his hardware. He has a battery underneath his skin, kind of like a pacemaker, but it's kind of like in his low back glute area. And they had one, which helped a little bit. And then he had to get a second one, and he's still on pain meds.
Unbelievable.
He can't leave the house for more than 20 minutes before feeling the need to have to go back home and lay down. And so his family is suffering. He's suffering. His wife is suffering. They can't really do much. And so, I actually have some video of him, but essentially what happened was he started coming in. We started trying to get things moving, limited, but as much as we can. And, now he's extremely grateful. His life has pretty much turned 180, where he can go. He went to a concert recently and was on his feet for 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours, going from a half an hour barely to being able to enjoy life for 8 hours. He said he got a big part of his life. He's not
That's
at 100% yet, but he's been able to decrease his pain meds. There's been times where the battery of his stimulator, he didn't even know if it was on or off. He's just feeling okay, tolerating pain. But there was another, I think, 8-year-old, 9-year-old came in extremely hyperactive, extremely, couldn't sit still at all. I told her, it's hey, we're going to try our best to calm the nervous system down and take out the interference, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And she was just coming in about once a week. And every time she came in, her mom was like, it was so much better this week. Less meltdowns.
I love that.
And then after the whole month, she's like, this week has been perfect. 0 meltdowns. She's so much calmer. She listens. When she was on the table, her eyes were going all over the place. She was nervous, anxious. Now, after every visit, she's a little bit more comfortable with this place. But beforehand, I could barely even touch her neck. We didn't have that trust. So we did some other things, and we saw some improvements, and now she's getting adjusted just like normal, and she's fine with it. She comes in super calm, she still has that energetic personality.
Sure.
But these are just, tip of the iceberg stories. And that's what I want to do. I want to get people their life back. If they can't live, I want to help them go back. And so that's a huge passion. But that started even, in the very beginning when I was in school, stories like.
I love that. So I love your story, man. I love your passion. I love that the reasons that you're in it. We need more chiropractors like you, my friend. So, thanks for sharing your story. Can we talk a little bit though about the philosophy of it, right? So, you know, passion is one thing. You know, going to school and learning is another. But I want to talk a little bit about the philosophy of your care, and kind of how it's evolved as you've built your practice. You started with someone that you guys didn't jive, and that happens. But that kind of fueled your desire to start your own practice. But how has the philosophy of your care really evolved as you've built it?
Yeah. So starting from school, I think Life Chiropractic College West, Life West, shout out to them. I thought they did a fantastic job at, teaching me the basics, the philosophy, find the subluxation, correct it, leave it alone. I thought that was awesome. Nothing wrong with that. And I took that and worked with it. And the first office that I worked at, their approach was more, let's just get everything moving. It was more so, let's do as much as we can, whole body adjusting. Everybody comes in. Okay. You're coming in for your neck and your upper back, but hey, we're going to adjust your low back as well. It's all part of the system. And so doing the adjustments, even working on the arms and legs and ankles, elbows, wrists, trying to do the whole body adjusting. And I really like that. And there's a patient where, I'm trying to help people get better. And so there's this person, he was coming in, 2 or 3 times a week for about 2 weeks at this time, comes in and ask him, how you doing? He says, I'm doing really good, or not really good, but I'm doing better than it was before, but I still hurt when I kind of go like this. It just hurts a lot. But other than that, without doing that, he's doing okay. And so I go, okay, let's get you adjusted. So I adjust him and I swear, remove everything. Like there's no joint left unmoved. And he gets back up and I was, okay, go ahead and move around, see how that feels. And he goes back to the same spot. He goes, oh, no, that still hurts. And I'm like, did it change at all? Like nothing? And he's like, yeah, nothing changed. It's exactly the same as it was before the adjustment. I'm like, well, what's going on? So we dig a little bit deeper, goes back on the table, and I'm palpating the sacroiliac joint, and it used to be very tender and painful. And he's like, no, that doesn't hurt at all. And it was on, some of the multifidus and glute muscles that he felt a lot more of the tender. It's like, oh, yeah, that's the spot. And I go, well, that's not the joint. So it makes sense that that's not the problem. So there's a stretch. Now it's called active release technique. I'm not officially licensed, or I haven't gone to the seminars, but I don't know if this is legal or whatever, but I went to a club,
used widely. Yeah.
Right. I went to a club and they said, this is the technique. And I don't know if we need to bleep this out or clear, but essentially it was shorten the muscle, pin it, and have the patient move in the opposite action of that muscle. And I thought, you know what? I think I know a little bit about the human anatomy and muscles and where they start, where they end, what movements they do. And so I ran with it. And so I don't know if I'm doing it exactly the way they would do it, but it's getting great results. So if anyone wants to learn the technique, I think it's fantastic. It's just very simple. And so we did that as best to my knowledge. I don't know if I was doing it exactly the way I was supposed to do it. But afterwards, he gets up and he bends over and he goes, oh, it's gone, completely gone. Like, you fixed me. That's fantastic. And sometimes I joke about saying, well, you're fixed. I guess that's bad for business then, right? Because now you're not going to be coming back anymore. My philosophy on business is, no, I want to get the good results, have that be shared out into the community and, have the positives. And so more people come in for less visits. But in any case, so that added this muscular component. Also a friend of mine, he does the AMIT method, or advanced muscle integration technique, which is all about muscle activation. And I was like, you know what? The joint is important. Yes. Subluxation is important, crucial. Yes. But also the muscles. So I think to get people better, there needs to be the joint component, the chiropractic, but then also the muscle work, whatever it is. And that does a much better job at completing this biomechanical musculoskeletal system that we have for movement.
Gotcha.
Let's see. And I think And so that started that. And then the second office that I worked at, this is the one where the ethics didn't really jive, but the setup I thought was really good. The approach, they had the chiropractic, but they also added some physical therapy components to it.
Oh, nice.
So they had exercises the patients would do at a certain stage, and patients would say, yeah, the chiropractic, I don't know if that's helping, but these exercises, I think it's helping me get that last little bit. And so that component added to my approach. So it's, adjustment, the passive muscle work, get the patient recovered and rehabbed. And when they're healed better, then start the physical therapy component, the exercises to strengthen those muscles beyond what the stresses that were on their body before. So now if their body is stronger than their stress, it doesn't matter what level they're at. If their body is stronger, whatever stress is on their body is going to have a negative impact on them because their body is now strong.
Gotcha.
And so that last piece of the puzzle has really developed into what I feel kind of an all-star setup, in my opinion, where we're taking people through this symptomatic rehabilitative stage and then also this strengthening stage to really make chiropractic and the treatment work for them.
Yeah.
There's an additional component that I think is really important when we're taking x-rays is the curvature of the neck. Now, this is chiropractic biophysics. I love their approach to correct spinal curvatures. I don't say do it perfectly, but the concept of creep, that's a physics principle, to stretch the ligaments in the neck. Specifically, I use the Denner roll, and I see about a 15-degree improvement when people are using that along with their chiropractic care after about 3 months. I don't know if that's what everybody else is getting, but I've measured it, and the last 5 or 6 people that have gone through it have improved. So this corrective component is crucial as well. And so that's kind of encompasses
Love it. No, thanks. I appreciate you explaining that, because I think that what DCs or chiropractors should really be doing is just constantly having an open mindset and maybe looking at other practices, or because not a lot, but some DCs will go straight into their own practice, which is great. They'll maybe go through a franchise process, and whatnot. And again, great, depends on what they're trying to accomplish. But I think it's important to really keep your eyes open, peeled for things that are working, things that are not working, new technologies, different techniques, like ART, for example, or AMIT, or whatever have you, things like that. I think it will help the patient in the long run. Yes, your practice will grow when you have patients that have good results, but the core is making sure that the people that you're seeing are getting results, so they could live healthier lives. So love that. Thanks, Dr. Judson. I appreciate that. So that was a great answer. That was, you dug a little deeper than most of the people I have on the show. But every answer that you gave went back to a patient experience. So you have that mindset of patient first, just with the answers that you're giving me before we even dive in. So this is great. I love it. I do want to talk a little bit about challenges, right? You talked about these success stories and these things that people are experiencing. But let's get a little bit more practical, because you have your clinic that focuses on the family, and you're seeing older generations, you're seeing kids. What would you say that the biggest challenge was for you in seeing kind of that wide range of ages and being able to establish your practice, and how did you overcome that challenge?
Okay. The first challenge of opening up an office was obviously financial.
Sure.
And so what essentially saved me, or whatever the right word is, angel investor, is my grandma, Anitra.
Love that.
Big shout out to her. I was talking to her about my experiences and kind of what I wanted to do. And, I always had ambitions to start my own office, and I had some plans out, and started thinking about what I wanted to do in an office, and kind of had a blueprint. And after I got removed from the last chiropractic office, I said, I just moved my family to Magna, Utah. I was looking at other jobs and it just didn't fit. And so I asked my grandma for an investment, and she goes, yeah, we'll take it out of your parents' inheritance, but that's fine. So I got
no skin off your back.
$50,000 family loan that I don't have to pay off just yet. But that was the spark.
Amazing.
That was the spark. And
it's so nice to have somebody believe in you like that, man. That's awesome.
Yes. After my, grandma investing, I guess the next challenge was the construction and whatever. But as far as what defined me as a chiropractor was pretty much established through my other experiences. One of the things that I vowed to myself was to not take shortcuts, because the first office I worked at, he had 10 years of experience already, but also his father was a chiropractor. And so his father, 20 plus years of experience. And so they already had this notion of what they did, what they could do, what, shortcuts they felt they could take confidently, but I didn't have that. And so my speed was not up to par with them. And they said, oh, we got to be faster. It's a business. Just, crank them out. You're spending too much time with people. But this was all new experiences for me. And I kind of said, oh, okay, I'll try to go faster, but I didn't want to take any shortcuts.
Yeah.
And so I would say that was very challenging in the beginning, because patients would ask me a lot of questions. I guess part of the challenge was, once I got my license, the owner of the first office said, okay, I'm going to go to Mexico for 2 months. And so,
really?
Yeah. So I was in his second office. He has his primary office. And so once I got my license, but I was precepting there for about 6 months. So I was already familiar with everybody. So it wasn't just like him throwing everything on my lap, but, there was a lot of questions that patients would ask, and I was like, you know what? I don't know the answer to it. I genuinely wanted to find out the answer. So I would research. I had a whiteboard that says, okay, topics to research. And so when I had some free time, I would go through that, look it up. Patient would come back and say, hey, this is what I. And so that was another, I guess, challenge in the very beginning. And so I wanted to have the knowledge that when I confronted that same problem or a similar problem, I would have the answer, and then I would be fast to do the things, right? That would be my shortcut.
Sure.
Knowing what to do, when to do it, how to do it. But that journey was after school and in live situations, and practicing, trying things out. Okay, you have this, let's do this. Oh, you have this, let's do that. And so now I've kind of dialed into, okay, you have this, I'm just going to skip what I tried before and just do what I think is going to do really well for you.
Let's get into a little bit of your services, right? So you do offer pediatric care. I believe when we chatted, we talked a little bit about the sports aspect and sports injury treatments. How do you approach kind of specialized areas specifically?
Yeah. So for pediatrics, I'd say I learned the basics, right? There are techniques, Webster technique, that I can think off the top of my head, that's kind of very specific for pediatrics and pregnant women. And so demographic, we learned the basics. And I think, moving bones, adjusting works the same in everyone who has a spine. It's the same foundational principle. It's just how you go about it can be better or different. And so I have a light adjusting tool. Lots of chiropractors will recognize this. I think this is very versatile. It's called the ArthroStim. I think it's fantastic.
It's used on me weekly.
An activator around here somewhere. Right. Any trick or technique to try to get things moving for children, I love. It works really well. In fact, there was a baby came in during the birthing process, was dropped. It can happen. And they checked for broken bones, no broken bones, but the baby's left arm was like limp. It couldn't really move it. And so it came in, noticed that on that left side, that atlas was not moving very well. And so took the activator and did a quick little adjustment, checked the sacrum. And, I checked in with a friend of that family who was coming in more consistently. And every time I asked, and I'm even following up on the patient not even coming in anymore with someone else, right? So they said, I don't know, baby's doing a lot better, get a lot more strength. And
Wow.
I mean, I haven't heard anything in the last month or two, so I'm assuming it's all good,
No news is good news. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, same with pregnant women, adjusting diversified technique is kind of what I primarily utilize. I have the drop table. I think I do need to get some pregnancy pillows, but the pregnant women and pediatrics is a lower percentage of patients that I get. Even though I have in my window that I can, work with all of them, but I let people know up front. I say, look, I can do the basics and I think I do a very good job. There are specialty clinics that really accept those patients primarily, and they have a lot more experience. And so I say the basics that I do doesn't work well. Let's get you in contact with one of them. But I think the basics will do well for now. With sports, I sponsored some of the local high school sports teams, baseball, basketball, and even the cheerleading. Cheerleaders, it's dangerous. Had some cheerleaders come in with like concussions and sprained elbows, and they, people landing on them. And so, so it's kind of, I never really thought about it before, but there's a baseball player that came in, swinging the bat too hard, strained his back. And, after one adjustment, I actually have a video on him. And he, range of motion improved drastically, so much decreased pain. But I tell him that you're still injured. The movement that we're getting is helping take the stress off, but you're still injured. So take care of yourself, know your limits. But that allowed him to play. I think they were in the playoffs or something. And he was able to help his team. I think they won the first round, lost the second round. He was fine. And then during the off season, a physical therapist said that he tore a pelvic muscle and just had him off sports for a whole month. And the last thing is, if you want to get better, just rest. Stop playing and rest. But, as an athlete myself, I want to play, I want to do what I can to play. And so, I'm trying to help things move and, understand what the limits are of the body, which can't, if you can play. If you can't play, your body's going to tell you if you can or can't.
You made a couple comments. So actually, first question, you said you have a video on that baseball player. Is that like an internal thing, or is that something out on YouTube I can share?
I posted it.
Okay. Do you mind if I put it with this video?
We can. It was one of the videos that I edited, so don't make fun of my video edits.
You made another comment that stuck out to me. You mentioned the word ego. There's so much behind that, Dr. Judson. So the reason I say that is because I've run into chiropractors that take on anyone and everyone and say they can help anyone and everyone. Now, that might have some truth to it, but we have to get to a point, or chiropractors need to be in a place where they can say, I'm going to try to help you, but I might need to refer you out to someone else. It's a community. There's different disciplinaries that we need to involve sometimes to get you to 100%. In my opinion, for chiropractors that do that, they're borderline malpractice issues there, because again, just from the patient side, it's like, dude, yes, you can help, but you're not the be all end all. Chiropractic is needed for every single soul on this planet. That's my true belief behind chiropractic care. I believe it will give you a better quality of life, and it will circumvent any issues that you're going to have down the line as well. But when you go to a chiropractor and say, this is bothering me, and you start addressing the issue, but it's not getting better, it's time to bring someone, build that team up for that patient. I heard a story once about someone with scoliosis, and I think I've mentioned to you, my kids both, unfortunately, have scoliosis. They are walking in their healing story right now, and it's going to get even better. I believe that in Jesus' name. That is my claim. But I heard a story, unfortunately, where someone was referred to a doctor I know, and said, "Hey, I've been seeing this patient for a year, and they're not improving." It took you a year to realize that you're not helping that patient in order for you to refer them out. Something's not right there.
I think
So,
in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, a month,
A
a month.
Yeah, right. I know it takes time.
I mean,
but
like,
there's milestones that
a year?
you recognize.
Come on. So I love that you said that. You said that, my ego I don't have an ego. Like, I think that's perfect way of putting it, because now you've sent this specifically this baseball player to someone else. They're now doing physical therapy or whatever the case may be, and that's okay. And that's okay. We need to set our egos aside and put the patient in the center. And I love the way you put that. So again, thank you for who you are.
I have a quick story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, I don't want to talk about the previous office with the differences, but this is, I think, kind of a good example of that. Their business practices and policies are set up in a way for the office and doctor's advantage. The patients kind of get, say, played with or played on or taken advantage of slightly. But it's really good for the office. You know what I mean? So the business practices take priority over patient care, slightly. And so typically the patient's kind of going, "Oh, okay." Like, "Oh, you're not going to, next time?" Okay. Right. And so it just eats up a couple of visits, but it's like, "Oh, well, that's what we do in this office, and we're the authorities and, whatever." And so then they're like, it's really preys on people who have never really gone to a chiropractor. Kind of like, if someone's never gone to a mechanic and they have no idea what's going on with cars.
Sure.
The mechanic can just say whatever they want to say, and the patient's going to be like, or the person's going to be, "Okay, I guess I do need another lighter fluid gasket changer upper." You know what I mean? Just make up some random thing. Anyway, there's a patient in this last office. I arrived there in May, and I think that's kind of when this patient started, and was in a car accident and was getting some numbness and tingling going down her arm. And so I joined in. We had a panel of doctors. We decided what we were going to do with that patient. They got examined, and we start with, a treatment of care, and 3 times a week for a month. And so we do the re-exam after a month, and we say, "Hey, what's going on?" Because the style of the office was they come in, they get a 2-minute quick adjustment, and then they're onto their therapies, to decrease the inflammation, right? Which, I think is a good starting point, right? So after the first month, we get a re-exam, and we say, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, "I mean, it was a little bit better, right? But I'm still getting this really bad pain, radiating pain going down my arm, and fingers are going numb still." I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe we need to take an MRI or something, right? Maybe there's something else going on because the X-rays looked okay, but maybe there's something with soft tissue." Get an MRI, it's all clear, still coming in 3 times a week. She gets, now we're on month 2, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm doing maybe a little bit better, but I'm still getting that pain, numbness, and tingling going down my arm." And so now they're thinking, "Oh, well, I mean, it's just going to take some time. We'll just keep going. We'll just keep doing what we're doing." Now, 3rd month. And so at this time, I'm doing the exam, and she's like, "Yeah, it's a little bit better, but it's still there. It still hurts." I'm thinking 3 months in, and she's still kind of dealing with the same thing. All the other things are getting a little bit better, right? And so, I'm doing the exam, and there is kind of a set exam to do, but it's not part of the exam to check out the patient's ribs. And so, neck is clear, right? Something else is clearly going on, and so I'm going off script, and so I'm palpating.
How dare you?
I know. So I'm palpating the ribs, and she's like in immense pain. I'm pushing heat, in her ribs, and she's getting numbness and pain going down her arm. So I'm hoping if there's any chiropractors listening, hopefully they thought the same way I did and go, "Well, pec minor is a very common brachial complex or brachial plexus nerve compression site." And so, that pec minor is super tender, super inflamed. Her shoulder, is coming slightly forward. So that's getting pulled. Now, it was her right shoulder. Typically, a driver will have left shoulder problems because that seatbelt pulls everything. So she's in the car accident. She's the passenger. So it was her right side. So that seatbelt likely pulled everything across, causing this compression in the shoulder. MRI says neck is clear. And so, but she's still having symptoms. So let's go, doctor. I felt the responsibility to try to figure out what was going on.
Sure.
And so because I've seen it before. That's why I looked, because I've worked on accident patients before. And so, and we've done this. We've adjusted the ribs. We stretched the pec minor, and symptoms go away. right? There's no problem. If the problem's not in the neck, then it's downstream somewhere else. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. I've done it before. That's the new direction that we should do. And I present this to the panel of doctors, and they say flat in my face, no, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And I'm like, but what you're doing is not helping this patient. So I don't know what their end goal was, if they're milking the insurance money or working with the attorney. I don't know. I don't know what the mindset was, but it wasn't on the patient. And so that was one of the big challenges with me. And, whenever I was with that patient, I tried to work on them, but then I spent too long on that patient. And so I got punished because of spending too much time with them and doing some of the muscle work as well. Anyway, but the ego, I don't know what it was, going against the grain. I don't know really what it was, but,
Yeah.
hopefully an example.
Yeah, no, it's good. So, and that kind of brings me to a question around the real benefits of chiropractic care, and actually some of this skepticism that's around it, because there is this kind of bad, I hate this word, karma. I hate that word so much, but there's like this bad view that goes around about chiropractic care. They're ambulance chasers, just kind of like the attorneys. And that is not true for most chiropractic centers. But the way we circumvent that is with education, right? So the more you take time to sit with your patient to explain to them the benefits of chiropractic care, the less skepticism there is out there because they'll give it a chance. So what strategies have you used to educate your patients about the long-term benefits of chiropractic care and short-term? And then have you seen that kind of shift that pendulum of skepticism to more optimism around chiropractic care?
The strategies of patient education. I don't like to try to sell or convince people of anything. I do the same strategy as I do with my kids to try out new food.
Okay.
You can't say you don't like it unless you try it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that food. Oh, well, you haven't even tasted it yet. You don't even know. Right? And so, granted, you go to a chiropractor, then maybe you experience it. However, my next answer to that is every chiropractor is different.
Mm-hmm.
There's an art to it. You're going to have maybe a different vibe. Maybe you didn't like the way the chiropractor adjusted you. I've had patients say, no other chiropractor's been able to get my neck, and I go, okay, well, let's try it out. And then here I go, boom, all of a sudden, so much movement. I mean, am I doing anything different than the other chiropractor? Or it was just a good day, or maybe if they give the other chiropractor more tries that they would have done some, been able to get something to move. Maybe they're just extra tight back then. I don't know, whatever the case is. And then there are other patients that I'm not getting very many sounds or whatever, but and then I ask him, well, do other chiropractors get it? And we're not supposed to compare chiropractors, but I do anyway, but I try not to take it personally. And they say, the other chiropractors are chiropractors, they get things to move. I go, I might do something different. It's very personal to every chiropractor on what it is. So then I say, well, if you tried others, try me. I do this other muscle work that's very effective as well. And so I kind of differentiate myself with that components, with the soft tissue work. And that does really well when the adjustments don't. And so patient education is very important. I've seen lots of different strategies in different offices on what to do. Some do, a patient orientation and do a quick little 30-minute teaching component.
Been through those.
Some have a little video, 7-minute video. Some do pamphlets, right? I need to do a better job at that. Sometimes my table talk turns into, what are you doing this weekend? A little bit more personal rather than educational.
Yeah.
But, it's, being genuine to who I am, I think is important. But also being able to educate and help people understand. But primarily I say, hey, if this is working, how are you feeling? Okay, let's keep going. I let the exam and the patient experience speak way
Yeah.
louder than, oh, it takes time for the body to heal. Well, yeah, it takes time, but like, we're 3 weeks in, like yeah, we have to follow the rules of the body as well.
Yeah.
But
For
that's kind
sure.
of what I try to educate. Hey, this is our expectation. If we're not getting that, we're going to change. And so I
Yeah.
try to educate my patients on the type of doctor I am versus, the actual, because I can't do 3 years of education
Yeah.
in just a couple of sessions with
Of course not. Yeah.
individuals.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
good. So one of the things so I have some training out there, around kind of brand management, specifically for chiropractic. And one of the things I think is important as part of your brand, as a chiropractic practice, is not just your colors, not just your logo. It's also the way you're speaking to patients and educating your patients. So once you get that all nailed down and really documented, I would recommend a playbook. In my opinion, at least, what I've seen work, is creating a playbook for your practice specifically, because what that's going to do is, one, kind of lay out kind of a floor plan of what your practice is all about. But then also, when you're hiring new staff, they're reading through this, they're seeing the playbook, they're understanding how and what you do.
Scalable.
Yeah, yeah. And just even before we get to the scalable aspect, that playbook is also going to help you with the education piece with your patients, because you'll highlight it within that brand, whatever it is, and then it'll almost encourage you to create educational material, because now you've seen enough patients to know, okay, these are the major things that we constantly are talking about. I'm going to create material around that to be able to say, okay, here you go. Here's a not even a pamphlet, just a one piece of paper, maybe double-sided, with the pertinent information that they need to know about the care that they're about to receive. And I'm not saying that just to you, Dr. Judson. I'm just saying that in general, any DCs that's looking to, start their own practice, brand is everything. Yes, the patient is at the core, but when you put the patient at the core, you need to build your brand around them, and to make sure that that's your focus. That's what I've seen, and I would recommend for you guys to do.
Yeah. Thank you. I definitely need help in that department.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And honestly, I have a ton of training out there. I actually have, I think, 4 or 5 more modules that I'm putting out. It's all free. I honestly love to empower chiropractors to do things on their own, if they can. And I'm here, of course, if they can't. It's what I do. But there are things that you can be doing to ensure your success. There is the business side of it, which brings me to my favorite section of the podcast, the business and the marketing. I geek out on this. You might have to rein me in a couple times, but if we could kind of just speak a little bit about what you're doing from a marketing perspective, maybe any strategies that you're implementing, and what you've seen has been the most successful in growing Judson Family Chiropractic.
Yeah. I am a doctor first. Well, let's say maybe husband, father first, golfer second. No, I'm just kidding. Doctor second, businessman third. I think I want to keep that.
That makes sense.
Right. Business is third, because I vowed to myself, I don't want my business practices or even insurance dictate what people get or not get and when.
Yes.
Right. That's my core ethics. And so, there's times where, a Medicare patient, maybe they need something, Medicare only pays for this. Oh, well, the patient, I can't do other stuff. Well, you need it. So I'm just going to do it. Right. I'm just going to take care of you. I don't care what the insurance does. You need this and this and this. Whatever insurance pays for, fine. Whatever they don't, I'm just going to eat it. Right. That's caring for the patient. So that's the core principle, I would say, for me. When I first started, I'm in a new city. Nobody knows me. What did I do? Got the $50, or actually probably more, over $100, because I got a business loan as well. So, $90,000 in before I even opened,
Ah,
you know,
that
and
hurts.
close to 90,000, before I even opened.
Hurts.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I did the first 100 patients for free. My goal was to, for the first visit, my goal was to get to know my community and get that word of mouth reputation out.
Great strategy.
Confident that I can provide results because I'm patient focused, result driven. And if patients are having good experiences, they're getting better. They're gonna say, you know what, my mom and dad needs this, and that's, I think, the greatest honor for a chiropractor when someone comes in and goes, oh, you know what, can you take care of my mom? Can you take care of my family? That's the greatest honor, I think. Because someone else is trusting you with their family. That's the most important thing to them, and seeing if I could help, right? And so
that's great.
And I get that all the time, which is great. I'm honored by that, but I feel confident that I can help them. And if I can't, obviously I tell them, you know what, you have more of a muscular problem. And there was a patient that actually does that. So I gave them some exercises to do and they stopped coming in because they're feeling great. I'm like, yeah, that's what you need.
That's the goal. Yeah.
That's what we want. Her husband still comes in because he needs a little bit more corrective stuff. But, and so that's what we did in the beginning. I thought having a social media or like a good website, a good online presence, SEO, all that jazz, have a good website, that I can start sharing. Social media ads was kind of my first go-to advertisements.
Yeah.
I've tried to do like newspaper ads. I haven't tried to do mailer ads just yet, but I wanted to stay local in the community. I would even talk to, I don't know if this is the goal or whatever. I'd talk to patients. I'd say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And they're like, well, I don't know, oh, maybe this. And some patients really give me the best ideas. And, then I give them, a free adjustment every now and again. Right.
It's their payment. Yeah.
Right. And they appreciate that as well. And I appreciate the advice. And, so I do some of those things. Like recently they said, hey, maybe we should talk to some local colleges because sometimes their business classes have projects to do, like make a commercial for a business. And, let me put myself on that list, have some students reach out and say, hey, show me what you got, create something. So it's part of their education. They give me some material for free. And, I haven't tried that yet, but that was an idea.
That's a great idea.
2 nights ago, about it.
That's a great idea.
Now I'm going to try to do like a giveaway. My first time trying to do a giveaway because tomorrow, January 24th, is my 1-year anniversary of being open. Woo-hoo. So,
congratulations,
we've been here for a year. We're poised to make this next year even better.
Love it.
And so going back to the social media ads, we have every now and again, maybe once every couple of months, we get a videographer to come in for half a day, shoot some B-roll footage. That was a new thing for me, I don't know what that was. Just to get the feel of the office. And then the advertising company that I use, they're called Debo Marketing, Dr. Bo, I think, Debo Marketing. They gave me a 1-month free trial and an ad, and it did really well the first month. And the second month did okay. Third month did a little bit worse. And then, fourth, fifth, sixth, some months were breaking even, some months we weren't. And it was just, I don't know, do we need to do something different than it was during the summer? There's kind of a lull usually during the summer, but I'm in a new area. Sometimes there's not. And so trying to figure out what to do differently. I tried even for a month, some other organization and gave a pause to Debo and they're like, oh, and so it's one thing in business, I have to be selfish, sorry, it's not working out. We'll keep in contact, but you have to do what's for the business. I can't take anything personally. You don't take anything personally. I'm going a different direction. I need to be firm with my decision because I'm kind of like a people pleaser sometimes. You're a patient pleaser. I understand that. Oh, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me do this. But sometimes it's like, no, we need to break for a second and do something else. That didn't work out. Let's go back to what we're doing. Oh, another thing didn't work out. Let's go back to what we're doing. And being able to say, no, I'm not going to do that. Because starting a business, now there's salespeople coming in all the time. Hey, let's do this for advertisement. Oh, what do you think about shopping cart ads? Or what do you think about newspaper ads? It's like, for maybe $250 a month, trying to get a lot of the valley. Okay, fine, let's do that. 3 months, $750 later, nothing, zero. So, hey, you're not giving me results. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. It's
Yeah.
just what's going on.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
then recently we did Spanish. So I speak Portuguese fluently. There's not a huge population of Portuguese speakers, but
Mm-hmm.
I have it on my windows and whatnot that I can speak the language. Maybe I'm not advertising to them as well as I should, but we have Brazilian communities that know, and so the culture is a little bit different. Chiropractic is not part of their culture. It's
Yep.
growing in Brazil, but it's still a new thing.
Yep.
And so I haven't been spending too much time there. And so I can speak some Spanish as well. And so enough to be able to communicate with patients when they come in.
Yeah.
If I'm on the phone with them and if they talk too fast, I'll have to
Yeah.
repeat a couple of things. But
Yeah.
in this realm, I do pretty well with Spanish and I can understand everything. They can understand me. It's broken gringo Spanish. I mean, my receptionist speaks Spanish and she says, "Oh, that's fine. You're speaking fine."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
reaching out to the Spanish community. Now we've done so much. Spend has been 50-50 English and Spanish, and the Spanish leads are just coming in like crazy. And so then we're kind of devoting more time to that for now because the English ads, giving a break to that. So it's been kind of the marketing progression that we've used. We're going to do a giveaway now to celebrate the 1 year, and then, trying to figure out when to do what and what's effective, because every city and community is going to be different.
Different. Absolutely. Absolutely. So how do you kind of balance? Because I think community outreach is important too. And because again, you're trying to establish yourself within a community. People need to see you, not just your ads, but you. Do you do any kind of community events or anything like that? And if so, how do you kind of balance the digital marketing aspect, social media, SEO, all that with your traditional community outreach methods?
The first summer there was a town, kind of like a farmer's market kind of a thing, and participated in that for one. And where I'm at, that wasn't very beneficial to me. I think maybe 3 people out of a whole day kind of signed up for something. I was offering essentially free spinal exam, free posture assessment. But still the community, I don't know, Magna, Utah, can be a little bit different, in that regard. It's all new for me. Maybe that farmer's market wasn't a good representation of the community.
Right.
And so I kind of stopped with that. I was doing well with the ads on social media, and so I just kind of kept going with that. Community wise, I wanted to do the sponsorships for the sports teams, the high schools. I thought that was really good. But I'm always trying to look for community things. I definitely feel like I need to integrate myself better in the community. Went to the town hall, the yearly, town hall stuff, but I've been really busy. I haven't been able to go to any of the town meetings and, introduce myself, but I think that's extremely important.
Yes.
Did it the first month or two. But then, I don't know, busy. I stopped I didn't look at they didn't really send any like reminder emails of the events that they were having. And so it was just out of sight, out of mind. And then after a year, they say, "Oh, here's your yearly subscription to it's not town hall, it's
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. That's what it is. Exactly. Right. And so it's $100 for the year, and I can go to a lunch every month, and mingle. I just haven't been doing that. I was able to give my business cards out to a couple of people in the 2 events that I went to, but it's just been busy. But I think that's really important that I should go back to do. Be more involved in the community, because that's one of the bigger challenges with chiropractic is if people are driving more than 20 minutes, the body requires a couple of sessions a week to really make it effective.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes over 20 minutes a session, a drive, it's kind of a big commitment. They're committing to an hour essentially of their time, and they get tired after work. And it's, if they don't absolutely need it, they won't do it.
Yep, definitely. So you kind of, so I think I understand your position based on our conversation of kind of how you try and stand out. because chiropractic is becoming more and more of a competitive market, really. Some, some benefits from that, some unfortunate issues from that because of how competitive it's becoming. People are cutting corners and patient isn't coming first and all that. But what advice would you give to chiropractors who might be, I don't know, struggling to really differentiate their practices?
Because chiropractic is an art, I would say that every individual does stand out a little bit. They already have advantage because of what they do, staying genuine to yourself. But really, in my opinion, the thing that the patient wants the most is the result. Yes, you get their why. I've heard business people say, well, why are they coming in? Oh, it's because I want to spend more time with my child and be able to lift them up and, play with them and roughhouse with them a little bit, but I can't do that, right? Getting their why. But I mean, still, simply put, they're coming in because they're hurting and they need help. Can you help them? Right. And so, getting the result, if you're not getting the result, then you need to be on the patient's side and figure out what's going to get them better. Is it your service that's going to get them better, or is it giving them to someone else? Either way, the patient's going to trust you with their care, or at least they'll value your opinion. If you say, oh yeah, I can get this done in whenever 3 months, you just keep coming in, we'll get it done. Well, what if it doesn't? Right. So, always in the back of my mind. And so the result, in my opinion, is king. Other business people will change or maybe disagree. But at the end of the day, it's the result that they want. You could be the best person in the world, but if their friend says, hey, we're thinking about going to a chiropractor. What do you think about Dr. Judson? Oh, he's a phenomenal guy. Love him. Mm-hmm. Terrible dad jokes, but he's great. He's great. You'll love him. Well, did he help you with your back pain? Because I got back pain too. Oh no, that still hurts. But who's phenomenal. You'll really like talking to him. Oh, but he didn't help your back pain. I mean, it helped a little. I mean, I still have it. Okay. But at the end of the day, it's like, oh well, now that person's going to go. Well, I need my back helped. So I don't. Maybe he'll be my friend, but that's at the end of the day. I think that's what patients want. That's what they need. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
And then while they're there, you educate them on the other benefits of chiropractic.
Right. Exactly. And that kind of leads me into my next question, which is about patient feedback. Because I think testimonials play a huge role in really shaping your marketing efforts. Mm-hmm. So for you, have you seen any benefits from that? Have you used your patient testimonials and feedback at all?
Oh yeah. As far as just patient care, I thrive off of the feedback. I know we're talking about marketing, but even just in my patient care component, sometimes I don't really make a recommendation the first day because I need to see how your body's responding to the adjustment. So commonly patients will get adjusted and it's good for a day. And then the third day is, oh yeah, now the pain's coming back. I'm like, okay, so this, we need to get your body over this hump of regression. Yeah. And so I will know there was a patient that came in, construction worker, severe pain, one adjustment came back 2 days later. And I'm like prepared to say, hey, I'm probably going to need to see you 2 or 3 times a week for the next month because you probably strained or sprained a ligament, it still could be maybe a disc problem. We don't exactly know yet. And he comes back in 2 days later and he's like, I'm 100% better. 100% range of motion restored, zero That's pain amazing. Whatsoever. And I'm like, well, this would be great on a Google review, Here, I have little things here, to have them tap their phone and hey, just go straight to the Google review.
That's perfect.
But I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then I explained that, hey, it could come back. I mean, this is one day. He never came back. Now his son came in because he was in a car accident. He told his father that wasn't in pain, but then was in pain. And so the son had a good experience. And now the father came in. And he goes, yeah, no, you did phenomenal work. I feel fantastic. This is the best I felt in a long time. I go, oh, awesome. So that patient feedback is enormous. In regards to marketing, yes, I need to do a better job at tracking everything. So really more advice for marketing is track everything because then that's really going to dial into your community, what the community is more responding to. Yeah. And that's going to be the best to fuel your market and who you're
Right.
tailoring your practice to. There's an exercise. We said, who's your ideal patient? Johnny so-and-so, construction worker, 2 kids, wife, you can get so detailed in
Your avatar. Yeah.
to who
Yeah.
your ideal patient is. And, then you can specifically figure out how to do your marketing, because that's the type of patient you want.
Yeah.
I thought, well, anyone with a spine, come on in. Right. And that's really what it is. I want to be able to open myself up to the vast majority, so that if only 50% of the vast majority comes in, I'm still going to have a very thriving practice. And so, but there are specific things, specific people that have specific things that I would say what I do works best with. And
Yeah.
so that's the type of patient that I should see more.
Makes sense.
Or at least advertise to, because I know I can help with that type of a patient.
Yeah.
So
what techniques do you use to get those testimonials? You said you had that tab for the Google reviews. What other ways?
Let's see if I can. Then these people are doing these little things, and so it's just this little plate here, right? So I think it's digifeel.io or something like that.
Right.
What it is. They say, "Oh, just leave it in your office and people will do it." That doesn't really work. It's in like the most public space that people stay in, and like I don't see anyone using this. So essentially, kind of alluded to it a little bit. When patients start having good experience, because every time they come in, I'm going to ask them, "How are things changing? How are you doing?" And people say, "Oh, I'm doing better." Well, how are you doing better? You're measuring your improvement, and they say, "Oh, well, I'm moving better. Oh, I'm doing this better. I'm sleeping better. Well, you know what? Last night I slept really good." And then I go, "Hey, that would sound really good in a Google review. Would you mind sharing?"
Perfect.
That? Patients are, and so I wait for that proper timing when patients are having good experiences, right?
Yes.
Someone after an adjustment, they go, "I was extremely sore. I had to take, soreness is part of the plan." And I explain to patients that soreness can be part of the pathway and the journey. But they say, "I was super sore. I had to take some ibuprofen and Tylenol, whatever. It's, I don't know, day 2. It's still really sore." I wait. So after a couple of more visits, then they go, "Oh my gosh, my body's healing. It's so much better." Then I say, but then I physically take them over. "Hey, take your phone out. Let me show you something cool." Not this. And I bring them right to the page. And
love it.
They'll do it. There was a father and son. The father didn't take his phone out. The son did, tapped it. And I got a review from, guess who? The son, who tapped it. And the father said, "Oh yeah, I'll leave you a review." And never got a review.
Never did.
But they both had phenomenal results. But the dad was like, so I have to physically, that's the thing that's been the most effective. I have to physically help. Now, front desk can be trained to do that as well. But that's really the best thing to get the testimonials.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think, so you're not going to get those referrals and those reviews if you don't ask.
Exactly.
And training your front desk is important, because I'm sure there's some sort of check-in or check-out process. And that interaction that your front desk has with the patient, I think is one of the most important interactions in your business, because it's what welcomes them and it's what sends them off. But part of that process can be you encouraging them to leave a review. And if it's not in person, you're shooting them an email. "Hey, we realize that you're seeing results, and we love that you're living a healthier life because of blah, 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 blah. Leaving a review for our practice will do wonders. It will actually help, your neighbor. It will help whatever." It's just a way of approaching them to say, "Hey, leaving a 5-second, it'll take you literally 15 seconds to leave a review. It will go a long way." Asking is the way to get them, period. It's that simple.
Yeah. One
thing
will do it by themselves.
What's that?
A low percentage of patients spontaneously will do reviews.
Yeah. That usually the younger crowd are the ones that leave reviews, unprovoked, sort of say. And usually the negative ones are the ones that go out there a lot quicker than the positive ones, unfortunately. So we want to get those positive ones in. You were talking a little earlier about social media ads. I think those are key. Again, chiropractic care is becoming such a competitive market. And I mean, you're seeing these franchises just blow up. I think, so one of the ones, my chiropractic office was up until recently 100% chiropractic. 100% chiropractic was great. Because I believe they allow their doctor to run and interact with the patient as they see fit. Now, Dr. Juan Escobar, that's who my doctor was, did that, and I loved it. But the experience started from the time I walked into that door. The front desk was amazing, and my experience was amazing. And he also sees or saw my children as well. And so I say all that to say is it's the entire experience. And it wasn't a social media ad that brought me in there specifically, but that site was thriving on social media ads, thriving. And it's one of the examples I like to use because it's what kept the business going. Now, social media ads is great. Local SEO, even as important. SEO in general on your website, very important. Content on social media, very important. You want to be personable. You want people to see who you are. There's some practices out there that use like actors, which I never will understand. They'll use an actor, doctor and they'll buy these videos and put them on their. No, please stop doing that, because now you got people walking into the door and they're looking for Dr. So-and-so and they see Dr. No. And it's like, something doesn't match there. Please be personable. Please put yourself out there, post videos, post content. Social media ads are critical. Local SEO critical, everything. It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle at the end of the day. And you want to have a social and online footprint that makes people and helps people trust you and trust your practice and trust what you do. And that's how you make an impact. That's how you grow in a competitive market. And I'm just going to do a quick plug here for Cyber Adjustment. It's what we do. And we do it really well. And actually, the return on your investment will always be there. Honestly, we bring passion to the table. Chiropractic care is part of my life. It will always be. I'm a huge advocate for it. But we bring passion to the table, and we're going to guarantee you patience, or we're going to do it for free. Like literally, it's how we do it. And excuse the plug, man, but I had to do it. But you can also do it yourself. There's a ton of information out there. It takes time. It takes energy. You're only one person, hence why people like myself exist, but you can do it. So either you put the time into it, or maybe it's a family practice. Have your kids learn how to do some of this stuff, or your wife or your husband or whomever, or your grandma. I don't know. Something.
Actually, the massage therapist in the office.
There you go. Like make it like just listen. I'm telling you, it's a team is what makes it work. And if you don't have that aspect of your practice, and you can't focus. You can't focus on your patients the way you want to, because you're going to be stretched so thin. For practices that offer insurance like yours, I usually recommend a medical billing company or associate or someone like that. Why? Because it's so much work. It takes a lot of work, a lot of paperwork, maybe you have enough revenue to hire a staff member that could do that as part of their job or whatever. But the point I'm making here is you need a team around you, whether it's your staff, whether it's your family, whether it's whatever, or a mix of the two, or agencies like myself that can help you grow your practice. At the end of the day, guys, really, please hear my heart. I want you to reach as many people as you can, because we need a healthier America. I sound like a politician, whatever, but we do. Our vote. Culture. Yes, one check. But we really do, because we're being fed all this misinformation about our health, about what we can and should not put into our bodies. And I believe a lot of the chiropractic practices out there are going to help get that message out there to the masses. And that's what we need to do. We need to get together, and don't worry about your neighbor, a chiropractic office and whether you're growing faster than they are or not. I promise you, if you actually collaborate with them, you're going to grow faster. Mark my words. It's not just about competition. It's about growing as a community. Anyway, I went off on a tangent there for a little bit, so I
No,
apologize. But I'm so passionate about this, man, and I speak to some of these chiropractors about, and here's me being completely upfront with everybody that's listening. I don't care, but I speak to some of these chiropractors, and I'm like, okay, here's what we do, here's what it costs, and they're like, I don't know if I can pay that. Well, I'm guaranteeing you your return on your investment, and you can focus on your patients. What more do you want? Like, I know what a lifetime value of a patient is. It's 10, 20 fold at the end of the day. Just your initial investment is what will help you get and grow and scale your business. I would love to get you to the point where you don't need me anymore. Just like chiropractors will bring you in and say, "Hey, let's hit the ground running. We're going to see you 2-3 times a week, and then we'll get you to the right place, and then we'll scale that down. We'll go 2 times, then 1 time, then maybe once every 2 weeks, or whatever the case may be." Same thing. I'm not here to rob anybody of anything. I'm here to grow. If I could be a chiropractor, Dr. Judson, I would be. Honestly. I actually made a
not too
mistake
late.
in my youth. No, it is. I'll tell you why it's too late. I made a mistake in my youth. And so I went to community college. I messed up in high school big time. I goofed off. I ended up I still graduated on time, but it was an ugly high school career. My last year was like a morning class, internship, and night school with 2 classes. That's literally the only way I was able to, and summer school and all that fun stuff. But then I got into community college, right? I soared, right? I was like almost a 4.0. I did in computer information systems, and then I got into Rutgers. But the mistake I made was not staying at Rutgers. And way later in my career, like I just graduated in 2023, I got my bachelor's degree. I'm not going back to school again, man. I'm not doing it. But I did it. I corrected a wrong. But the point I'm making is, it's time to invest in your community in ways that you haven't before. Think outside the box. If you want to do it yourself, great. You have 24 hours in the day. Use them the way you want to, but really spend the time. Do it. It's important. Let's grow that community. Honestly. All right. So,
Percent.
sorry. Yeah. Again, I this is the part where I get like all
Mm-hmm.
like I have an answer for you. Please use it. Okay. Let's get into the community involvement. So Magna is a community that you're new to, but it's where you're hanging out, right? How do you, outside of you said you went to the Chamber of Commerce and shook some hands, maybe kissed some babies, what have you. But how do you promote health and wellness, and how do you engage with the Magna community outside of that? Like on a day-to-day basis is what I mean.
Day to day. I definitely could do a better job, but still going on social media. The community has a township page. Magna recently became a city. Before, I guess, was a township, and it was part of the Salt Lake City. I don't know what the terms are, but it wasn't a city, and it recently became a city. But I would post to the local pages. There's a Magna City Residents page and a Magna Township page, and there's even a Magna Black Sheep page. I guess that's the people that band together got removed from the other pages. I don't know. But I'm on all 3. I was never really banned from anyone, but there's still people. I'm trying to reach out to the whole community. I don't want to exclude anybody.
Yeah.
And so I can post there pretty much once a week, and I'm sharing updates and news, and I need to do a better job at sharing, health tips and things like that.
Yeah.
I
would recommend I would recommend you commenting also, not just posting, like actually seeing a post from someone and commenting.
Participating. Every now and again, I'll do that. In Magna, it's kind of funny. I've been here for about a year and a half, and we're by a Northrop Grumman facility, and so they deal with rocket fuel rockets and test explosions and burning off stuff. And anyway, there's booms like oh, I heard a boom. And so everyone gets on that page and says, oh, what was that boom? Or, oh, what's the helicopter around here? What's going on? And it's like a boom happens and then people start commenting, okay, where are all my boom posts at? I don't know. It's a very tight knit community. It's growing really fast.
Yeah.
So much so that the residents that have been here for the last 10 years really are not enjoying it because there's so much growth, which I think is a good opportunity for new businesses.
Of course.
But the infrastructure, the traffic and whatnot, but that's besides the point. But that's kind of where I'm at with my community involvement. Day to day, that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm going to start being more active on these pages, just so people see my name, because my goal really was to be a part of the community. And
of course,
having a business, it's kind of hard to do and have a family and do family activities and be involved in the community and going to the, Chamber of Commerce meetings. And I just need to organize my time a little bit better.
Sure.
To be quite honest. So,
yeah. So are there any partnerships that you have that you're particularly proud of?
Currently, there's a barbershop just 2 doors down from me, and we try to help each other. The owner, it's called Savant Barbershops. His name is Marcus. Awesome guy, and we're kind of trying to collaborate a little bit. He's sharing some posts about his experience here in the office, and I got a haircut over there. Last one, I think it looks.
Wow, man, he's actually really good.
It
looks great.
Really
seriously.
Job. His name was Albert. He was the person who cut my hair last time, and we did a shout out on Instagram and Facebook for him. And so that's pretty much the only partnership I would say, unofficial. Trying to collaborate together that we have. I've been trying to get to other business owners, but I think me going to the Chamber of Commerce may help with that and build those connections.
Definitely do that. I
this
recommend
alignable platform I had no idea even existed.
Yeah, so cool.
There's lots of businesses that are like, oh, I went to them, they're on it. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll be actually an excellent tool for me. And thank you for introducing me to that.
Absolutely.
To start being a little bit more active on that, because I think there's someone down in Lehigh that says, hey, let's get together and say, come up here, we'll set up an appointment. So we're still working on that. That's been great. A really good tool as well.
Yeah, there's communities within Alignable for your community. There's that you can become a part of. So it'll get you connected to business owners. And the cool thing about that is when you get connected to business owners, you're getting connected to their customers at the end of the day. So I totally recommend Alignable for anybody that's watching this. Great tool. Great tool. All right. So can you give me a little bit of background on your team, your practice? Like, do you have staff that help you out?
My team consists of my receptionist, my massage therapist, myself, and I have a billing company.
Okay.
And so,
you have your receptionist, you said your massage therapist, that's your wife, correct? Do you guys, like, how do you mentor your team? Like, cause you have to really focus on your patient throughout the day. Like, do you guys have, a daily
morning huddle? We go over the schedule beforehand. It's getting to the point where we just kind of say, any questions? Nope. We're doing this with this person. We're good to go. And so sometimes it just takes 5 minutes in the beginning, took a little bit, but every now and again it'll be, oh, this is a PI case. Oh, where are we at with their attorney, their lien agreement, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Let's keep track of that. And so that's been what we've been doing. I've been gathering stats, and every now and again I'll share it. It's not a consistent meeting basis. I don't have, there was a business mentor that said, they asked the team to do a couple of things. It was kind of cheesy, but he said it's kind of cheesy, but do it. It works. Like, what did you learn today? Or, and I'm like, well, if you ask that question every single day, to me, it gets a little annoying, but it's beneficial. You can't keep doing that. So I don't do a lot of what a lot of, I'd say, business gurus say to do that say is good. And
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just suffering from it, or I don't know.
So I would recommend as part of your daily huddle, when we do something day in and day out, it becomes muscle memory. So what I would recommend to do for those daily huddles is create a framework around it. It's not just to go over the patient log. I would say incorporate a question, maybe two, maybe three, once a week, to say, what is something that stood out to you this week? What's something that you learned that went well? What's something that you learned that didn't go well? And another part of that, I would encourage the conversations with the patients to say, "Hey, what did we do well with the patients specifically, and what didn't we do well?" Because that feedback is really going to help form and morph, and you iterate forward, right, with your practice. And I think those are healthy conversations. They're hard conversations to have sometimes, because you're going to hear some things that are didn't realize I was doing that. Sorry. But I think they're good because it'll help you grow from that. The feedback might be hard to hear, but it'll be positive in the end.
100%.
Yeah. 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 All right, cool. Okay. So let's shift a little bit. And I think we need to start winding down here. I'm not going to keep you for much longer, man. I could sit here and talk to you all day. This has been awesome.
Good. I got another 3 hours. I mean.
Oh, sweet. All right, cool. So let's talk a little bit about the vision and the future. So what's your vision for Judson Family Chiropractic over the next, say, I don't know, 5 years?
Yeah. So in the next 5 years, I would say my goals are to have at least another office. Maybe a team of doctors that share the same passion as mine. Patient first, result driven, that can kind of perform the same things that I do. I know chiropractic, there's an art to every chiropractor, but in order to get the Judson Family Chiropractic experience, essentially it's growing because of what I'm trying to do, right? My vision, right? That's what the build is coming off of. And so trying to duplicate that in another person is a challenge, because everyone is going to want to do different things. That's going to be a goal, to have another office, a couple more teams of doctors, to really have my systems down, have documentation and manuals and, training things, document all the steps on how to do stuff. This first year, there's been a lot of changes, and I told my team there's going to be a lot of changes. A lot of feedback from you guys is extremely important. And I do check-ins every now and again, non-official meetings, but we'll learn, oh, that didn't really work out that well. Let's not do that anymore. Oh, we're getting a lot of no-shows. What do we do now? Do we collect credit card information do we collect prepayment? Do we do this? How do we confirm? Do we do the three, closing comments? Is there anything that will stop you from coming to this appointment? Okay, your appointment is this time, this day. Does that still work for you? Okay, blah, blah, blah. And then, so this time, this day, is that still good for you? Is there anything that could stop you from coming in? Okay, we have a no-show policy or whatever it is. There's things in like that can work. We've been trying to implement a lot of those, but there are still some people who do not respect appointments. And so what do you do with that? Start doing prepayments, then, well, that's going to discourage a lot of people, because now this business is money first. Well, no, I'm people first. I want to take care of people, but if people aren't in my office, I can't do that. And if you schedule a time for like a half an hour for my new patient, and if you don't come in, that's a half an hour that the community has lost to be able to come in and get help. That's a half an hour that I've lost to help someone. Mm-hmm. And so it's just disrespectful to me. It's disrespectful to your community and your friends and family who might have wanted to come in at that spot, It's really bad when you no-show to an appointment. So if anyone, is listening, that's not a chiropractor but a patient, really, really, work on, if you make an appointment, to either communicate beforehand or to actually make your appointment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also something that I've been looking into is like hyperbaric chambers, some new technology.
Sure.
Hyperbaric chambers are, it like increases your blood oxygen by a huge amount. I don't know the exact numbers. I think it was like, normally there's, I can't remember the numbers. It was like 3 milliliters per whatever the unit is in blood, and then in the hyperbaric chambers, it increases it to like 60 or something for like 3 millimeters or 60 millimeters or milliliters. Sorry. And it was just extraordinary, the effects of that, and increased oxygen, increased energy production, increased healing, increased, but it's kind of new. And so there's studies still to be brought out, but that's kind of a new technology that I'm thinking about kind of looking into. Also nutrition. We talked a little bit about it a little bit earlier. Nutrition is hugely important. My personal journey, I've been having some, gut imbalance, intestinal imbalance, and I'm like, what's going on? Tried to remove gluten, remove dairy, and it was still just very sporadic on when I'd be fine and when I wouldn't be fine. And honestly, now I'm a big fan of trying carnivore. I think everybody for gut resets, do carnivore for a limited amount of time. I tried to be diligent in it for about 2 weeks. I lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks. I would have eczema on my hands every now and again. And usually every winter I have flare-ups. I haven't had any flare-ups. I'm not consistent on the carnivore diet, but I see videos now all the time on my feed because I watch those. And so then it's like, hundreds of people saying, I'm getting so much better on carnivore, so much better. Now, there are some, I talked to a friend of mine who does a lot more with gut imbalances, and he's a chiropractor, but he focuses on that. I asked him about it, and he goes, it's good. You're limiting certain bacteria in your gut, but then there are also some good bacteria that require some prebiotics, some fibers, some cabbage and whatever, some vegetables, which is also good. But if your goal is like decrease inflammation and kind of do a gut reset, red meat, eggs, bacon, butter, going back to the basics, animals can be corn-fed, which is still not good for us, right? So grass-fed, natural, I'd say naturally fed. I mean, that's not a term, but I want to see, naturally fed, natural animals. It's crazy that we have to kind of market. Oh, this is a real animal that we're trying to sell.
I know. It's insane.
What were you trying to sell us beforehand, Doing carnivore, I did it before Halloween, and then I took a break on Halloween, but I had like one candy bar, and then I was like, oh my gosh, because I was trying to do no sugars and no carbs as well, like 0 carbs. And I had another candy bar, and then another one. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I felt this, I've never really done drugs or any recreational drugs or anything like that, but I felt like I was
a high.
Like, I was like, that's what people feel like.
Yeah.
I haven't started doing any of the other things yet still, or won't, probably. So anyway, we can maybe remove the, I don't know.
That is staying.
That's now. Okay, fine. Well, we'll keep that. I mean, I won't show this to my wife. No, I'm just kidding. And so, she, but anyway, but sugar's a drug. It is 100% a drug.
Absolutely.
I mean, I was like 7, 8 little candy bars in, not like the king size candy bars. So that people know I have papers. Not the king size candy bars or anything, but it was like, oh my gosh, and another one. And that was kind of scary for me a little bit. I was like, I lost control a little bit. And so,
I get it.
I think everyone needs to be on low carb or no carb for a little while. Get a gut reset. The sugars and the bad bacteria in our gut, that's promoting bad things happening in our body. The gut's the second brain. There's so many things linked to that. It's a big problem. So nutrition wise, I think everyone should do that, right? Omega-3s, get the seed oils out of our diets. Those are pro-inflammatory. Those are rancid oils. That's the vegetable oil, canola oil, probably a bunch more, and I'm getting this information off of social media, which I think is interesting. I'm not taking the time to look at the research, but then there's other people saying that they're looking at the research. And if they're saying, hey, add some Celtic salt or some Baja Gold sea salt, get your minerals. That's not a very expensive lifestyle change. I think people promoting free and easy, simple lifestyle changes, if anything, they're trying to market themselves and get their pages increased. But I think they're, it's worth a try. That's what I say. If you haven't done it before, don't dog on it. Do it. And so I did carnivore for 2 weeks and I felt amazing. And so I've been really trying to do more carnivore. I've been trying to get my wife to do more carnivore style. It's unknown, right? But it's like, just try it. We're just eating it a little bit different. Savory breakfasts. Don't start your day with carbs in the morning. That's awful. Because, the food pyramid, I heard from these other videos was a scam. I mean, I'm not trying to get very political on this, but it was
No,
just to
I get
promote
it.
the agriculture industry, but it was completely unhealthy for us. Even medical professionals said that's not a good idea, even back in the day. So there's a lot of potential conspiracy theories about our nation's health and what our,
Yeah.
current health departments are recommending in regards
Yeah.
to like vitamin D and things like that. Where did the
Yeah.
creation of the U unit or the international unit? It's an
Come
arbitrary
from.
number.
Yeah.
It's based
Yeah.
on nothing. Why do they do that? There's theories on that. But
Right.
vitamin D is
Right.
extremely important. So nutrition in my office, I
Nutrition
think,
is
is going to take
huge.
a big
Yeah.
turn. I don't know if I'm going to get like a nutritionist in my office, but
Maybe
at
you will.
least have these recommendations. And I'm starting to talk to people that, I know weight can be kind of a touchy topic, but I'm not going to
Yeah.
sit down and say, hey, you need to lose weight, because sometimes surgeons will say that you need to lose a certain amount of weight in order for me to do a surgery
Yeah.
on you. And that's like, it's like
Yeah.
disheartening. That's kind of mean
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
But telling people, say, hey, chiropractic is one way to help remove inflammation by allowing your
Yes.
biomechanics to work better. But there's
Mhm.
other ways to decrease your inflammation, and that's removing the sugars and processed things. And they even bring up I've been trying to lose weight. And I'm like, it's not necessarily a weight thing; it's an inflammation thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if you live a healthier lifestyle, you're going to be a healthier person with chiropractic, with nutrition, with exercise. And people are saying the exercise is not really the large component for weight loss. It's nutrition.
Right.
Nutrition is
Right.
the thing for weight loss. We have three
Right.
fuel sources, right? Proteins, fats, and carbs. And I Googled it, is protein an essential nutrient? Yes. Is fat an essential nutrient? Yes. Is carb an essential nutrient? No. Carbohydrates are not essential, meaning the definition of essential is, do we need it to survive? Our body can
Right.
create our own glucose,
Sure.
ketones, right? Our body can
Yeah.
thrive off of ketones.
Yeah.
Our body does not need carbohydrates.
But we're not taught
Vegetables
that,
and stuff.
unfortunately.
Very good. So, anyway, I could talk a lot about nutrition and things that I've heard, but essentially it's worth a try. Yeah. Keto,
I agree.
carnivore, I think those are all good things that people need to do, decrease inflammation.
Yeah, I have a family member who did it, the carnivore diet, swears by it. And every now and then they will jump on it for a reset.
Yeah.
I learned it from, what's his name? Peterson, that therapist guy. He's on Daily Wire. I forget his name is slipping my mind. That stinks. Anyway, his daughter, bunch of complications, strictly carnivore diet, literally healed of everything.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane what it does. I toyed with the idea of doing it myself. So speaking of weight, I'm a big boy. It's no secret. I'm in my opinion really overweight for my height. Forget the BMI and all that index stuff. I just feel extremely overweight. Now, that said, I've lost about 100 pounds. I was a really big boy, but chiropractic care is actually what started my journey because I started to feel better.
Mhm.
You made a great comment there because you said some surgeons will tell you, well, we can't perform surgery unless you lose this amount of weight. Whereas in chiropractic care gave me the ability to get on the road for weight loss. So it was a tool to get me there and then keep me there and then help me keep going. So that's huge. And then I had a thought. You said, I don't know if I'm going to hire or bring a nutritionist in-house. There's a business model that I've seen time and time again where you don't necessarily bring in the nutritionist on staff,
Mm-hmm.
but you can partner with someone and give them space within your practice, specifically maybe rent it out to them. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you need to vet them. It's almost like an interview process. Make sure your visions align, and they have their own patients, and you refer each other. And that's just something that I've seen work very well. There's a lot of offices that allocate certain spaces to different professions within a chiropractic office. So something for you to consider.
I like that. The friend of mine actually, a lot of nutritional advice can be done virtually. So he could be anywhere in the world. As a friend
Yes.
in Florida and the other one in Southern California. And
Yes.
I'm like, hey, give me some, like an info page or something. I'll print it
Yeah.
out here, QR code, whatever, go to your website, communicate with you, your contact information. When I have someone that says, I think I want a little bit more information about, gut health. And I'm like, I haven't really studied too much into that. I know a little bit, right? But, talk to this person. He has a lot more knowledge in that realm
Yeah.
and see what he can do
Yeah.
to help. Having a
Yeah.
referral network is essentially is what it is.
Agreed. And I would also recommend, if it's another chiropractic office, or tied in somehow, that has that ability. It could be remote. Like, for example, I just had Dr. Noah Siegel on my show.
Mm.
He's actually coming back. I'm doing another session with him to do a deep dive in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
But he's big on gut health. It's what he does. He's a chiropractor by trade. That was his schooling. He does chiropractic care, but he focuses also on the gut health piece and microbiomes and all these things. You guys, chiropractors can refer each other for things that they're just not good at. So that's another kind of plug for be a community, help each other out. You'll grow a lot quicker. All right. So let's talk about chiropractic care and where it's heading. How do you plan? Because, and it is changing, right? You mentioned that chamber, hyperbaric
Chamber.
hyperbaric, excuse me.
Yeah.
You mentioned the hyperbaric chamber. There's laser therapy, which I've personally experienced benefits from, et cetera. There's so many things out there. But where do you see kind of the field of chiropractic care heading, and kind of how do you plan to adapt to these changes, or are you?
Yeah. The last seminar I went to was very heavy on the neuroscience and the brain studies and what's chiropractic doing affecting the brain. Thought it was really cool. One of the stories of, it makes sense that when children are underdeveloped, or let's say they're on the spectrum with some sort of autism, or, the indicators that doctors are looking for are motor function delays.
Yeah.
I know one of them is if a baby they usually should have head control at that age, but if they're laying down and you lift them up and kind of let their head, and as you're lifting them up, if their head sags down and they don't, bring their head up when they're coming up, that's an early indicator. Or if their walking is a little bit delayed, or, if their motor skills are delayed, that's a sign. And so what chiropractic does in this case is it activates the motor centers that are responsible for that type of development. And so,
Yes.
Does chiropractic affect the motor centers in the brain? Absolutely. And, there was this big story. I think her name was Dr. Geraldine. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
And so she was talking about how this one patient, and she filmed their various stages of her life until she was 18. When she was 3 years old, this patient didn't really communicate very much. You're trying to say, hey, Susan, Sally, or whatever the patient's name was, and she just was not responding. She was playing. She was in her own little world, but not coherent. Not coherent, but not focused. And then, started chiropractic care. A year later, laser focused. Now, kids develop very fast. And so it's like, okay, very eventually 18 years old, valedictorian, going on to be some like CSI, forensics, scientist,
cool.
Whatever, very, very accomplished. But as a child, serious signs of spectrum, autism, developmental delays, there's something going on in the brain. And now I imagine there were more interventions, but chiropractic care was part of it. And similar with the other patient of mine that was very just hyperactive, brain was just on fire almost, and electricity going everywhere. And chiropractic calmed things down. We stimulated the right areas, took the stress off. So chiropractic care is definitely going into this neurological field as far as the seminars that I went to. I still for now hold on to the physical, the biomechanical. I still teach that, yes, that when the body is out of balance and there's joint restrictions, that causes muscle dysfunction, that can lead to nerve dysfunction. And when the nerves are getting messed with, that affects organ function. And when organ function is bad, then that creates a whole host of all potential problems, and, constipation, irritable bowel, maybe asthma, right? There's all those host of symptoms that can happen, GERD even, depending on where the subluxations are. And then I'm like, look, I'm going to work on the biomechanical, and that's going to return your body to more normal. And if you still have problems, then go to nutrition or, other.
Keep the main thing, and then expand from there.
Hey, we might be able to affect the brain. Like the patient with the attention deficit, I literally said, like, look, yes, there are instances where chiropractic will help. We have to try it and see. And that's what we did. We tried it and we saw, and we're seeing benefits, and we're continuing to see benefits. And so that's why they keep coming back. If they're not seeing any improvements, then I say, hey, maybe we need to try something else. Right. So then they can trust me as a professional to make sure that they're being treated right and fairly. And they.
Yeah. So what motivates you, Dr. Judson, to really keep going, to innovate, to serve your community, to, find that patient or prospective patient that needs you, and really apply your experience? What motivates you to really push forward and reach your community through chiropractic care?
The motivation, there's a lot, but I don't know exactly what it boils down to, but feeling like I helped, like being a positive influence in the community. Getting patients essentially their lives back. I mentioned at the very beginning, that gentleman with all those surgeries. I mean, he, really good friend. And honestly, in his case, in his situation, he didn't have any money to pay. And so I said, look, you need this, you need something. And so I'm not going to charge you, but I want to take some videos and kind of see what the progress, right? So there was a little bit of a benefit, but my heart was,
of course,
getting to help him get better. And he did, right? Not 100%, but he brought his kids in every now and again. I would say, well, what have you noticed? And he goes, I have my dad, it was, he's participating. We're building our like a bike, motorcycle together. Beforehand, he couldn't do anything for more than 5 minutes. And now the bike's done. We rode it around, and it's like, we're doing things. His son is in the Marines, and he traveled to California, I think is where it was, to where they were having their ending ceremonies and graduation. And he was able to go, he wasn't thinking that he was going to be able to go when he was in that situation, so that's a huge motivation for me to getting those patients results and getting those life stories. I mean, it's almost selfish in a way, for me to say, I want to get all of those good experiences. That's what I love, hearing, patients with plantar fasciitis, and they go, I've been dealing with this for a year. Okay, let me work on you. I don't have it anymore. Or it's not as bad. It's tolerable. I can go hiking again. She loves hiking. That's what, I say she, because I'm thinking about a patient. And she's like, I can go do that again. Now, the less of the patient focus, what my first mentor, chiropractor, pretty much said about business, which is, you just have to start doing it, and you have to have essentially light a fire under your butt to get you motivated to actually do the work, because now I have this office, and, financially I have to provide for my family.
Of course.
Right. And so that's another motivating factor.
Sure.
I have to do this. I have to put in the work in order to get the patients. But like the passion behind chiropractic, is the results that I'm getting. And that's what thriving the passion that I
love that.
But the more realistic, not logical, but the material component is, if I fail, then my wife and my kids don't eat. They can't enjoy life. Sure. And I want them to have their life as well.
Of course.
And so
two great motivating factors. I love that. Your passion is really driving both of them. If you really ask me, like, from what I'm seeing is, your passion to care for these patients and the results that you're seeing and them getting a healthier life, but then also your passion for your family. Like you're a leader in the home. And
I guess we can kind of boil down to happiness. You know what I mean? Like we are on this planet to enjoy it, and being able to find happiness where we are in our current situation is important. but also to be able to have people do certain things to allow you to be happier, you know, and something I never really thought about, but, you know, depression and mental, you know, anxiety, you know, things like that.
Sure.
That's very real. And, you know, being able to be kind of a solution to that, you know, I know a couple of patients who have dealt with that in the past, and they are now telling me like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this now, I'm doing that. And like, it's not even a topic anymore, but in the initial exam, it was like, yeah, I'm this, I'm depressed, I have this, you know, working on this. And, you know, but then seeing them come into my office and they're smiling and they're enjoying life. I mean, that's, I guess it kind of boils down, you know, to on my window, I have, and on my website, a happy family is a well-adjusted family. So it kind of plays into that as well.
It's accurate. So for listeners interested in learning, you know, more about your practice, maybe booking an appointment, or maybe another doctor that wants to connect with you, wants to have a chat with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you specifically?
So the office phone number is, you know, 801-250-6319. The email address, you could either email you directly at drjudson, judsonfamilychiropractic.com. It's kind of long, but my IT guy said, make the domain match the email addresses and so forth.
Yeah.
There's that, or you go to my website, Judson Family Chiropractic, and submit an appointment request, but it's just a method of communication. Those are kind of the main things. So email, phone number, and website. I'd love to connect with as many professionals as possible. How do we collaborate? Really, one of the things that I would really love to do, I don't know if anyone's up to it, but I would love to have a couple of patients, maybe spend a couple hours on a Saturday. We get an MD, a physical therapist, chiropractor, massage, acupuncture, different professionals, and like all 5 of us or all 4 of us look at one patient, and we all examine the one patient, and we share with the professionals, this is what I'm examining. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm going to do. This is why I want to do it.
That is so good.
You know, I would love to do something like that. I don't know if there's professionals that would want to do that, but like we have this huge collaborative effort, and the patient's going to be there for a while, but hey, they're getting, you know, lots of attention. You know, the medical doctor's probably going to want to do blood tests because of this and this and this. We're going to be looking at this. And so then the medical doctor can be enlightened on everything that we're all doing. Physical therapists can be enlightened. I could be enlightened because we are all not professionals in every other profession, right? Or other you know, field. And so I'd be down for that. Get a couple of test patients, say, hey, this is a chiropractic. This is what we're doing.
Yeah. That is so cool. I'd love to see that happen. And if I can play a part in that too, let me know. That'd be awesome, man. So it's a good goal. So for those of you guys listening, wherever you're listening, maybe watching, in the description, you will find the ways that Dr. Judson, just mentioned, all the address, the phone number, everything, start to finish. I'll plug his socials down there as well for you guys to check him out. I
guess I'm on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and that could also.
I'll put it all in there. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So let's end our time together here with just one more question, if that's okay. What's one actionable tip you'd offer to listeners for improving their overall health, their well-being today?
So on the back of my business card, I have keep moving. That could be taken multiple ways. The biomechanical, physical, tangible way is, you know, exercise, movement, stretching, yoga, Pilates, whatever. Movement, physical movement is what our body needs to feel healthy. Okay. The other component is this mental component. You know, when life gets you down, just keep that mantra, keep moving. Yeah. Right. Dory from Finding Nemo says it a different way, right? She says, keep swimming. Lots of other small phrases say kind of the same idea, but, you know, don't stop, right? You have to keep going. If you know something's wrong, keep fighting, keep pushing, keep moving, keep going. You know, that's going to be the thing to get you to potentially find an answer. If you stop, there is zero chance that you're going to find an answer. You have to keep going in order to potentially find an answer. Simple analogy, golf, when you're putting, my uncle, he would say, you have to aim for at least a foot beyond the cup. Because if you aim short, there is a 0 chance of it going in. If you aim past just a little bit, there's at least some chance that it can go in. If you're short, there is no chance. So by keeping moving, you're giving yourself a chance at health, at life, just, keep moving.
I love that.
That's
that.
The main mantra that I would say,
Yeah, I would relate that to, like to anything, not just your body. Like if you think about a bicycle or a car, if that thing just sits there, you haven't done anything. It hasn't fallen. It hasn't broken. But if it's not being used, it's going to rust. It's not going to move well when you're ready for it. So I think that is probably the best advice I've heard on the show so far. Keep moving. Keep moving. I'll tell you right after this show, man, I'm going to get up and I'm going to move around. I'm going to do some exercise. I'm going to move. It also gets your mind moving too, because it'll stimulate that as well.
Does. Absolutely.
Love that. Well, Dr. Judson, thank you. Really, thank you so much for being on the show today. I had an absolute blast.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
I got more.
Yeah.
I can say a whole lot.
Well, hopefully we'll find some time in the future for you to come back. And maybe we'll just find a topic to dig in a little deeper on. So whatever you are cooking up in your head and researching, and maybe we'll talk about the carnivore diet. I don't know. We'll find something, but I'd love to have you back on the show. All right. That's a wrap for today. A big, huge, ginormous thanks to Dr. Brett Judson for sharing his time and wisdom. Who else can make spines and posture sound as cool? He did, at least for me. I'm the geek here. If you enjoyed this chat, subscribe, leave us a review. Just tell your friends about this podcast. And if you're curious about Dr. Judson's work, check out the links in the description. Until next time, stay awesome, stay aligned, and don't forget to stretch once in a while. I'll see you soon on Beyond Adjustments. Cue that amazing outro.